All right, we have some things to get into this morning. We have a lot to get into. News, rumors, headlines, the breaking news in the WWE. We got Monday Night Raw tonight, but we got some breaking news backstage in World Wrestling Entertainment just hours before Monday Night Raw tonight. And I want to be careful with how I phrase some of this, because some of what I'm about to tell you is information that, frankly, WWE would prefer was not out there right now. So let's get right into it. And stay with me on this one, because about 4 minutes in, I am going to tell you something about Randy Orton. And if it's accurate, completely changes what WrestleMania 42 looks like. And I mean completely. Now we're going to start from the very top. As we all know, tonight's Raw will be emanating from Boston, Massachusetts. The TD Garden will be the place, will be the setting 3 weeks out from WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas, where CM Punk will put the World's Heavyweight Championship on the line against Roman Reigns. And ladies and gentlemen, on paper, you've got the confirmed main event of Raw tonight. The Usos defending the World Tag Team Championships against Austin Theory and Logan Paul, with Paul Heyman in the corner of the Vision. You've got Finn Balor, who was conspicuously absent from the television last week, expected to make his return and respond to what the Judgment Day did to him. Liv Morgan essentially confirmed on air that Balor's removal was her orchestration from the beginning. His loyalty to Dominic Mysterio is what kept him around as long as it did. And the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, ladies and gentlemen, he's on the road to WrestleMania, and he's going to be there tonight on Raw. Brock Lesnar is also back tonight after Obafemi answered his open challenge for WrestleMania last week by hitting Lesnar with a delayed pop-up powerbomb that, well, look, if you didn't see it, go watch it. That was a statement, and now we find out how Lesnar responds tonight on Raw. That's the publicly confirmed card, but here's what's not publicly confirmed. And I need you to stick with me through the next 2 minutes, because the setup matters. If you skip ahead, the thing I'm about to reveal won't hit the way that it should. Trust me on that one. So 2 minutes. Just stay with me, viewers. There are rumblings, all right? There are rumblings, and I want to be precise here. I really want to be precise with this one, because there's a difference, viewers, between rumblings and confirmed. But there are rumblings that the scripted layout for tonight's show for Raw has been circulating. Not the full document, but enough. Now, that is not unusual. Scripts leak. They've always leaked. The question is always, how close to the final version is what we're going to get tonight on Raw? Because as anyone who covers this business knows, WWE rewrites constantly. Things that are locked at noon Monday are different by 6 o'clock. And by the time the red light goes on at 8 o'clock on Netflix for Raw on a Monday night, the red brand, you're sometimes watching a third or fourth draft. What I can tell you that the great general architecture of tonight's show is this. The bones of it appears to be consistent with where the WrestleMania 42 card sits right now. But, ladies and gentlemen, and there is a big but to this, make no mistake about it. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell, and turn on all notifications for more videos like this. And remember to become a channel member to help save and secure my future right here on YouTube.com, because without you, there is no show and view. But there is one piece of this puzzle that is generating significant heat backstage, and that is the situation involving Randy Orton. Now, before I get into the Orton piece, and this is the part that you came here for, I know that I need to give one more layer of context there. I need to give you one more layer of context. If I just drop the rumor cold without it, you're going to hear it, and I think it sounds interesting, and move on. But if you understand why it's being discussed internally right now, it stops being just a rumor of viewers, fans, and subscribers. It starts being the only move that makes creative sense. So give me about 90 more seconds, and then I'll tell you exactly what's being discussed. All right, so let me give you the full context on this, because if you've only been following the surface level coverage, some of this is going to catch you off guard, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed, it will. Randy Orton, as we all know, yes, he won the Elimination Chamber in Chicago. He pinned Cody Rhodes to do it. That match, and more specifically that finish, was the catalyst for what became a heel turn. Orton went to SmackDown, turned on Rhodes, bloodied him, cheer shot, the whole thing. The contract signing happened. The match is official. Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton for the undisputed WWE Championship at WrestleMania 42. Night 1, April 18th, Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. That match is locked. Paul Levesque, Triple H confirmed it personally on social media. That's done. That's what we know. However, what's not done, viewers, what's not done? What is not done, and what is generating the conversation right now, according to the rumors, the gossip, the speculation online, is what happens before WrestleMania. And there is a rumor, and I want to stress, because I want to stress this right here and right now, there is a rumor. It's not confirmed, but the sourcing out is coming from people who have been reliable in the past, okay? The rumor is that WWE is internally discussing, again, and plans can change a million times, card is always subject to change, and it possibly has already been decided on having Randy Orton, ladies and gentlemen, the RKO himself, the man that turned heel on Cody Rhodes, the man that broke Matt Cardona's arm, having Randy Orton win the Intercontinental Championship before WrestleMania 42. Now, if that happens, viewers, if indeed that happens, you are no longer looking at just a standard WWE title match at WrestleMania between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton from the blue brand of SmackDown on Night 1's main event. You are looking at title versus title. Cody Rhodes, undisputed WWE champion. Randy Orton, Intercontinental champion. Both titles on the line at WrestleMania. The showcase of immortals. The Super Bowl of professional wrestling. Now, the last time we had a title versus title match at WrestleMania, I think you'd have to go all the way back to Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior. Now, a lot of the people are going to say and hear and think that, okay, well, here's the story, viewers. Both titles on the line at WrestleMania. I've got it. I'm done, but stay with me. Because the part that nobody is talking about, this is the part that nobody is talking about. This is the part that nobody is bringing up in rumors, news, and speculation and gossip here on Sean's View Entertainment. And the part that I think is actually the most important element of this entire situation is not the title match itself. It's who Orton has to go through to get there and what taking that title would actually do to the story. That's coming up right now. Now, here in my opinion, viewers, here is where it gets very interesting. And here's the part that I think a lot of people are going to miss. The current Intercontinental Champion, as we know, is Penta. He won the title from Dominic Mysterio on Raw several weeks ago. He retained it against Dragon Lee on the March 16th edition of Raw. Now, for Orton to win the Intercontinental title before WrestleMania, you would need a match. And if WWE goes the shock value route, which reportedly is being discussed, and we are going to talk about shocks here, okay, that match may not happen on Raw. It may not happen on SmackDown. It may happen at a live event. And if you don't know what that means from a business standpoint, a live event title change is one of the oldest, most effective ways in professional wrestling to generate buzz without burning a television segment. You got it in front of a crowd that doesn't fully expect it. Word gets out immediately. Social media goes sideways, and suddenly you've got heat going to WrestleMania that you didn't pay for with TV time. Now, the WWE, all right, now listen, the WWE has done this before. It is not unprecedented, but it is rare. And the timing, 3 weeks out from WrestleMania 42, is exactly the kind of window where something like this could happen without disrupting the arc of the television narrative. The question is whether creative actually pulls the trigger on it, because on one hand, title versus title at WrestleMania raises the stakes considerably. Rhodes versus Orton is already a personal story. Legacy stablemates, a betrayal. The crowd in Las Vegas, frankly, seems more inclined toward Orton than the promotional material probably anticipated. When your top babyface gets busted open by a heel turn and the crowd cheers the heel, that tells you something about where the audience currently is. Now, adding the Intercontinental title to the equation gives Orton a material reason to win. A 15th World Championship, and if he wins, he takes both belts. That is a massive moment for Randy Orton at WrestleMania, which many are expecting that this could be one of the final runs of Randy Orton on WWE SmackDown. However, viewers, on the other hand, Penta has only had that title for 3 weeks. There will be people who feel strongly that you don't cycle it that fast. It's not like a hot potato here. You don't want to do that. However, and there are legitimate questions about what that does to Penta's positioning going forward. Those are the conversations happening right now backstage. And I want to spend some time on Penta specifically because I think this is the part of the conversation that is not getting enough attention. Penta, and this is not hyperbole, one of the most genuinely over acts in WWE right now. Not over in the way that marketing decides someone is over, actually over. The crowd is driven, it is authentic, it's organic. The kind of reaction that the company did not manufacture. It arrived because the audience decided it, viewers. Every market that he works, every house show, every live event, the response is real. And the people who are around him day to day, producers, agents, other talents, by all accounts, they like the guy. He's got a reputation for being professional, for working hard, for being easy to deal with. That matters inside the locker room more than people on the outside sometimes realize. So when you start floating the idea of Randy Orton going over Penta for the Intercontinental title at a live event, unannounced, unsanctioned, you have to understand what you are actually doing there. You are taking a beloved figure, a guy from the crowd that is generally a guy that the crowd generally loves and adopted, and you are having a heel, a guy who has just betrayed one of the most popular babyfaces on the roster, betrayed them, walk up and take his title too. And I want you to think about that for a second from a pure heat generation standpoint. Because here is the fundamental problem that WWE has had with Randy Orton in this heel role so far. The crowd isn't booing him. That's a problem. They're cheering him, or at the very least, they're appreciating him. When Orton turned on Cody Rhodes and put him through that announcer's table, the response in that building was not what you'd want if your goal is to position Cody as a sympathetic babyface champion going into the biggest show of the year. That steel chair shot to Cody Rhodes over the steel steps is not the kind of reception you would anticipate the fans to act good towards Randy Orton, but that is exactly what happened. That is a real key issue here, and that is the new issue. This is not a new issue with Randy Orton. He's been in this position before where the company wants heat and the audience gives him cheers. It is a testament to how good he is at the job. It is also a logistical headache for creative. So if you're sitting in a booking meeting right now, and this is the logic that I'm told is driving some of these internal discussions, you have to ask yourself, viewers, remember to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell, turn on all notifications. What is the one thing Randy Orton could do in the next 3 weeks that would have a live crowd actually boo Randy Orton? And I want to be honest with you about something before I answer that. Because I've been doing this long enough to know that when a rumor like this surfaces, a rumor that is logically this clean, okay, that solves this many problems at once, it either means someone very smart put it over or someone inside WWE is floating it deliberately to see how the audience reacts before they commit to it. Either way, the answer to that question is the same, and it involves Penta. Now, stay with me. And the answer increasingly appears to be take Penta's Intercontinental title. Because the audience that cheered when Orton turned heel on Cody Rhodes, a meaningful portion of those people are also the same audience that is completely bought into Penta. His whole presentation, the character, the entrance, the aura. He connects with fans in a way that is generally difficult to teach and nearly impossible to fake. And if Orton walks into a building, maybe a mid-sized arena on a Tuesday or a Wednesday at a live event, and he defeats Penta, clean or dirty, it doesn't much matter. And he walks out with the IC title. And you will hear it from the crowd immediately, and that sound hopefully will travel. That is the hope. That is the heat that gets clipped and posted. That is the heat that runs on social media for 48 hours. That is the heat that follows Randy Orton into Las Vegas at WrestleMania and makes the crowd in that building actually want Cody Rhodes to win, which at this stage of the build is not a guaranteed outcome based on crowd dynamics alone. WWE needs people to want Cody to win. Right now, there's a legitimate segment of the audience that wants Orton to win. Some of that is fine. Some of it is good business. It creates genuine tension. But if the heel goes into WrestleMania with the crowd still half behind him, you have got a muddled main event. You've got a crowd that doesn't fully know what it truly wants. Taking Penta's title may solve that, or at a minimum, it will help. It gives Orton something genuinely despicable to have done. Not just I turned on my friend. The audience has seen that before. They've processed it. Some of them have moved on emotionally, but I went and I took a title from a guy everybody loves, a guy who's done nothing to me purely to use it as leverage. That is a different kind of villain. That is calculated. That is cold. That is very specifically the version. That is specifically the version of Randy Orton that is most dangerous and most effective as a heel, viewers, fans, and subscribers. The Viper taking what isn't his for no reason other than because he can. That tracks, viewers. That tracks. Now, so what does tonight mean in all of this? Well, watch Penta. That's the first thing I tell you. If there's any kind of confrontation, any angle involving Orton that touches the Intercontinental title picture, that is your signal. That is the real thing and not just a rumor. And I'll tell you something else to watch for tonight. Watch how the crowd reacts to Penta tonight versus how they react to Orton. Because if you see what I've been describing, if Orton gets cheers and Penta gets cheers and nobody in that building really knows who the villain is supposed to be, that's a problem WWE is going to solve before April the 18th. They're needing to have to solve that before April the 18th. And it may be a problem they're trying to solve with exactly this rumor. Now watch the Judgment Day segment tonight. The Balor return, it has legs, and depending on who Finn Balor brings with him as a backup, that could reshape the faction landscape heading into WrestleMania weekend. Watch Brock Lesnar's segment tonight because the Obafemi match is set for WrestleMania, but the tone of how Lesnar comes back tonight will tell you how everything WWE is booking the match, how they're going to go about it, the strategy, the planning. the building blocks to it. Whether it's a squash, whether it's competitive, and whether there's a bigger story being told. And watch Roman Reigns. His match at WrestleMania is CM Punk versus Reigns for the title. That feud has been built on promo warfare. Punk left Reigns speechless. He knocked him out, knocked him down, and that was generally a strong segment. Tonight, we're 3 weeks out. What will get said in that building tonight in Beantown, in Boston, at TD Garden, is going to be the final chapter before they're in Las Vegas. Last thing, and I'm going to ask you to stay for this one, because I think this is the takeaway, not the rumor, not the match, but this, viewers, this. When you lay it all out, the title versus title possibility, the Penta dynamic, the crowd situation, what you're actually looking at is WWE trying to course correct a story that has been, by most accounts, resonating in the wrong direction for about 3 weeks. The Randy Orton heel turn was executed well on a technical level. The chair shot, the blood, the cold, the look on Randy Orton's face while Cody Rhodes was down, that was good television. It was entertaining. It was compelling. It was intriguing. But execution and repetition are two different things, viewers, fans, and subscribers. The audience has not fully turned on Orton, and the window between now and WrestleMania is narrow. You've got 3 weeks of television, viewers, 3 weeks to put an emphatic statement, to put an exclamation point at the end of the sentence. Tonight, Raw, next week's Raw, the Go Home Show, and of course, SmackDown's in between. And whatever happens at live events in between. 3 weeks is not a lot of time to reshape a crowd's emotional investment in a performer who has been a beloved figure in the business for the better part of 2 decades. So if you're on the WWE creative team, and this is the underlying logic of everything we've discussed today, you need a shortcut. You need one definitive act that is so clearly villainous, so wrong, that the audience in Las Vegas has no choice but to be fully invested in Cody Rhodes getting his moment. And taking that Intercontinental title from Penta, from a guy the audience loves, from a guy who has done nothing to deserve it, it's purely a power play. That may be the shortcut here. Now, make no mistake about it. It's cynical booking, in a sense, but it's also smart. You're using one piece to solve 2 problems at once. You escalate the WrestleMania match with a secondary title, and you manufacture the crowd heat that the heel turn alone failed to fully generate. Whether it works, whether the Las Vegas crowd at Allegiant Stadium is fully behind Cody Rhodes the way WWE needs them to be, we won't know until we're sitting in that building on April the 18th and also watching at home on TV. But if this rumor is real, if it is real, if Orton wins the IC title at a live event between now and WrestleMania, I think it works. I think that's the move that finally gets him booed. That's where things stand heading into tonight. The Orton Intercontinental title rumor, again, not confirmed, but real enough that it's worth paying attention to. And if it happens at a live event before WrestleMania, you will hear about it right here. And if you're watching Raw tonight, The Observer will have full coverage, SeanzViewEnt entertainment, and analysis. Subscriber newsletter goes out tomorrow morning with the deeper breakdown. We'll see what Boston gives. Thanks for watching another edition of the most consistent, prolific, and dedicated uploads in YouTube's history. This is the dynamic SeanzViewEnt entertainment right here on YouTube.com. Oh, but wait a minute. We're still not done. Ladies and gentlemen, we got breaking news. Again, this is why you can't shut off my episode in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes. You got to watch the whole way through. WWE in talks with Tom Brady for WrestleMania 42 role in Las Vegas. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, according to the dirt sheets, the websites, and the newsletters, WWE in talks with Tom Brady for WrestleMania 42 role in Las Vegas. Tiffany Stratton addresses WrestleMania 42 status amid title match rumors. Tiffany Stratton calls out weird fan requests for feet pics. And Liv Morgan's beer chug goes viral during a Celtics game with Raquel Rodriguez. And new buyer steps forward with plans to purchase Trillery TV. Triller TV, a new buyer, steps in. Also, WWE's Roman Reigns sends family warning. And Roman Reigns sends family warning before Raw clash with CM Punk in Boston. Tessa Blanchard responds after Chrissy Rivera questions her accountability over past controversies. Also, viewers, fans, and subscribers. Braun Breaker expected at WWE Performance Center for medical clearance. Will Braun Breaker be coming back just in time for WrestleMania? It very well could happen. Subscribe.